All right, welcome everyone. We have podcast number 70 on the Flow Show. We got Mr. ALLinPav, known as ALLinPav, joining us from far, far away. Mr. ALLinPav, how are you?
Hey, though, mate. I'm good.
Good. He's mellow. It's early. He's waking up early. He's responsible. He's a young, strong, hardworking guy. Party poker ambassador. We're on Team Online, so it's always kind of nice to have a nice extra bit of excitement on that front. But what time is it? Where are you? Tell us what's going on.
It's 8:45 a.m. and I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. I actually hated waking up early my whole entire life, but and poker shouldn't even allow it. Like, you didn't have to wake up early with poker, but that's what streaming does. So
yeah,
it's actually Twitch that kind of put me in this zone of waking up early and trying to go to bed before like midnight.
It's funny when I talk to my friends about waking up early, like, because I'm also not really an early person. I do have a 1-year-old son now, so that changes things a bit. But when I say like getting up at 9 or 8:30, that feels early to me. But like my dad, who worked for Ford for 30 years, got up at 4:44 every morning, and most of my friends wake up at like 6 or 5:30 to get their day going and try to get a workout in and get to work. But yeah, it does. I mean, what's early for you? You get up, you said, what time's like a regular wake up for you now?
Well, probably like 6:30 a.m. is what I would average this year, I'm guessing. But like I need to, like the games are like really hot between like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. start time for me. So I'm already sleeping like throughout peak hour almost. So that's why I try my best to wake up at 6 o'clock at like the latest.
All right. So yeah, you do. So you get it moving. You did move over there. Tell us a little about your background. Cause you are from, I'm sorry, Australia or what, give us like
South Australia.
South Australia.
So,
I've been to Australia, been to New Zealand, both great places. How did you get into poker? Give us the start of it all for you.
My brothers were playing. Well, my oldest brothers are like 10 years older than me. I think I was like 9 or 10, and they would just play for fun, cash games inside the house. And then since then, 10 years later, that was my first introduction to poker, when they were playing at home, and I couldn't like join them and wasn't allowed to. And then 10 years later, my brothers were playing. One of my brothers was playing online, and I was just sweating him basically all weekend, and I was just kind of hooked on it ever since. And then I went into micro stakes tournaments, then I went into cash games, then I took a break, then I found Twitch, and then
let me interrupt you for 1 second. Your brothers you have two?
I got 3 brothers, a younger one who's 25, and 2 older ones who are 37 and 36, I believe.
So you're 27 though, or 26? Yeah. 27.
27.
So first of all, your younger brother, what does he think of it? Does he think it's really cool? Does he play video games? Does he stream? What's his take on you?
Yeah, he installs cable for Foxtel. So yeah, he doesn't really think much of it. He doesn't care too much. My whole family really doesn't care too much about it. They think it's cool, but I've been doing it for like 5 years now professionally, and it's kind of normal for them. They never, I would say, like my mom never really cared about it. She was just kind of like, do what you want. My dad was like really against it at the start until I had enough money to move out and do my own thing. And then he was like, okay, it's a legit thing. I shouldn't really give him shit about it anymore.
What about your brothers, your older brothers, who you're saying you started, essentially you saw them playing, you kind of got involved because of them and took a liking to it. Do they think it's cool? Like, they must be, your younger brothers, you're a Twitch star, man. You're sponsored poker player who streams and plays poker for a living. What do they think about that, and what do they do?
Well, they barely played it. I mean, I don't know how many hands lifetime they would have played combined. It would probably be no more than 2,000 hands. Like, they barely played it. But when they did, like they'd have like an afternoon session playing cash games, and they were just like a typical recreational.
Yeah, they'd have a home game, a beer. Everyone had.
That's exactly it.
All right.
But yeah, they think it's cool. The sponsorship. They still don't really understand that people are paying me to play on this side. It's a funny thing,
It is it's a crazy world we live in, crazy times. Let's cover as it's sort of as poker's booming, the pandemic, the the COVID, all this. Give me a little bit of a feel, because not too many people I know in New Zealand or hear too much about it. What is it like in your area? Is it are people wearing masks? Is there anything different? Are restaurants closed, or is it life as normal?
Honestly, I probably couldn't tell you too well. I never leave the apartment. From what I have seen, it's pretty normal at the moment. I mean, it was dead obviously like 2 months ago, but at the moment it's pretty normal. I think we went into level 4 lockdown like 3 or 4 months ago, which was, you can't leave the place and you got to isolate for 14 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there was social distancing for like I think it was 2 meters per person, so that was pretty weird getting groceries. But apart from that, I really couldn't tell you too much because I'm never leaving the place. But it
Just
seems
to clarify,
like
when you say I'm never leaving the place, is that COVID times, or is that in general, or is
that's
that
normal, mate. That's the thing. Nothing's changed for me.
You're-
I very rarely leave the place. Like if I have to get groceries that I haven't ordered online already, like last minute, that's pretty much the only reason I leave the place. I got my balcony, I got my poker, talk to my family and my friends online. Like I don't need to leave the place.
Okay, you're a homebody. And what about the ladies? For the ladies out there watching, can we clarify? Is it is there a girlfriend? Are you engaged? Do you have
Nah,
children? Are you single?
no
Are you looking?
engagement, no
What do you got?
fiance, no children. Single for the last 2, 3 years now. So yeah.
Are you looking? Are you just happy in your
No,
own
I'm not.
space?
I'm
Or
not looking. Like I think I'm trying to. Yeah, I've had one girlfriend throughout streaming, and I'm just not happy if I'm not streaming. It's not like I guess addicted to the grind, but at the same time, like I'm just not into it. I'm too young, Like this is the time to like be working hard and putting in and taking risks, and
you're
I
allowed
don't
to have
need it.
fun. You don't have to have a
Of
serious
of
girlfriend.
course, mate. I
You
mean,
could
I can have
swipe left
fun
or
and
right,
grind
and
as well.
yeah, I get it. I mean, listen, I think that's a big competitive advantage for you, because if you look at Lex locked up, Jamie's got engaged. I have a 1-year-old. BBZ's married's got a child. Who else? Finton, Spraggy. They got
Yeah, shit.
serious significant others. That's a part of their storyline. They're on there, blasting around on the Instagram stories with their personal stuff, and you gotta see it. It's like, all right, cool, but it takes time. Those guys are very dedicated, good poker players, streamers. It's not like you can't just neglect that. That takes up a ton of time. I mean,
No,
you
for
have
sure.
having the ability to just flick go live, have nothing to answer to, no one to check in with or really worry about. That's a big deal. And I mean, I remember the times I played poker, traveled. I was single for 8 years, and it's a big difference. So I think when you're ready to take that next step, you are sacrificing ability to do that. So I think that that's, again, you're young and you're hungry and you're crushing the stream game, and you've got a lot of time on your hands to grind. So that's good. And would you say, what is your typical schedule for those watching now here, that you would say, when are you on live? Do you have a set every week? Do you change a bit? Like, what's your normal schedule?
It's like every day but Sunday. Sunday for me, which would be Saturday for you guys. So yeah, today's usually my day off, and it's usually I start around 3 hours ago and stream for like 8 to 9 hours usually. So it's like 6 days a week essentially. Yeah, it's quite a lot.
It's a lot. It's a big grind. Do you have any Twitch goals? I think I see. I read something at one point. You said your main goal is to be the most consistent poker streamer on Twitch and grind my way up the high stakes. You're basically doing that. You're showing the consistency. You're building big numbers, and you're definitely, Twitch is a momentum game. I've done it for years.
Yeah.
Less so the last year or two. Just family, whatever. But it's hard to not be on if you're on only once, twice a week, or off for 3 weeks or a month and come back. It's tricky to gain traction. Are you finding that 6 day a week thing is really just your steady numbers are huge, and just everything?
Yeah, it definitely helps, but it's so sick as well, right? Because you can put in like an insane 3 to 6 month grind, take a month off, and your numbers just drop insanely. Like people just have this emotional attachment to someone who's alive every day. They're just more willing to watch them.
It's true.
Yeah, it's kind of gross how you can devote so much time and then you take a little bit of time off and the numbers like really drop. So it is like a pretty consistent game. You can't stop if you want to build it.
And what's your biggest notice of the COVID times? Have you seen, just in general, the stakes, and tell us a little bit about what stakes you generally play, and how have the games been in the last few months? Have they been significantly different?
Yeah, I think they have been. The prize pool is obviously a lot bigger. The players, yeah, I've noticed I mean, with bigger prize pools come bigger fields, come more fish. So yeah, you definitely you notice more fish and you notice the bigger prize pools. That's nice as well. Stakes I'm playing right now, I think my ABI is like 250 this year or around that. So I play everything up to the 1Ks, but also play like down to the 33s if I have to as well, if there's like no games running.
For sure. And what do you think about some of these theories coming up? I see you've gotten into PLO a bit. Do you have any plans like for the party, the WPT? You know, they have 100 million guaranteed starting July, I believe it's 17th, and it goes till September 8th, which is exciting. There's a 10K. Do you have plans of playing any of those at 3,200s,
Yeah.
10Ks, those special events? So you're gonna go for it on those?
Well, we had the Advanced PLO Mastery come out. So I watched like 12 hours of this as well. And then I was just like, I can't right now. You know, this is like 2 months ago because I'm so invested into grinding No Limit that, you know, when you take this much time off to invest into something else, and it whacks your brain. And it's so hard to play two different formats. Like, credit to those who can play No Limit and PLO while grinding, but I can't do it. I need to stick to just one. So I probably should have like watched the entire course before touching PLO, because it just messes up your brain when you have like no real fundamentals in PLO, because you just start doing a lot of like shit you would do in No Limit with PLO, or you might be calling too much in PLO. Like it's a crazy
beautiful
game.
I really do. I love PLO. I agree though. It is a bit tricky when you're playing you're switching back and forth or at the same time, and you know, Party does have some nice options and good series coming up, so that'll be fun.
With the series coming up, I need to talk to Dylan. You know, him and I have, I think we've had 2 or 3 sessions on Twitch where he's coached me. He's really good. So
Dylan
Weissman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not sure if you've been introduced to him, but he started streaming on Twitch a few months ago. He's doing like a 5K to 25K bankroll challenge.
Very nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It is fun, and it's nice to switch it up. I also like I think the annies in a lot of the PLO tournaments now, or they're kind of playing with that, because that kind of, you know, not having annies in PLO is certain tournaments are very low. It makes it, you know, a little bit different. But there are some big differences between the game, and especially in tournaments, how to play in different spots, and it's fun. So yeah, it's good to see that you're mixing up. I know we played a bit. I think a bit of PLO. We've been at the same table. What is your mixed game experience? Do you play any other mix? Do you like mixed games?
I don't think I've played a single hand of anything but PLO and No Limit.
Okay.
Maybe I misclicked some Badoogie game, but I've never played any other mixed game or any mixed games.
So your focus is mastery. You're not going for a look.
Yeah. Like I enjoy PLO because it's fun, and I'm probably more willing to get into PLO for cash games, because it's good to just like play a couple hours of PLO fast forward, right, and just try and spin up 5 stacks and have some fun. Tournaments PLO is a fun game, and like tournaments are pretty draining, so I'm not sure if I want to like invest. Like PLO can be just my cash game type of thing.
What's your thoughts on the Party Million right now? Because did you get through this week? Do you have a stack? They just changed the format, so you are.
I got 10 million now, so, and it's a new day, right? It starts on Monday now.
Yeah, the
Tuesday for me.
Monday. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's definitely it's interesting how they're doing. I think it's more play, right? It gives you more actual. It's less of a turbo down the stretch, and it seems to be good. What's the amount of tables you play? I'm always interested by the sort of breakdown you do on Twitch. So like when you play poker now, are you streaming, or do you ever fire up to play if you're not streaming?
I don't remember the last time I played a session and didn't stream it. I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah, I'm the same
maybe 5 years ago, maybe, but yeah, I don't do it anymore.
So what's the table breakdown when you sit down and play? How many do you like to play at once?
I don't play any more than 12, but I'm still not sure. You know, I think that obviously the less the better, but it's so hard not to fire a good value tournament. When you see it, you just want to fire it. So, I mean, it's so easy as well. The problem with 12 tabling is you just enter this autopilot mode and you put no thought. It's just, everything is just super tight play, super straightforward. You don't do anywhere near as much check raising on flops as you should, for example. There's like nowhere near enough 3 betting the more tables you play. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm still like, ideally, probably I shouldn't go over 9, but you know, it's not really about how it's not really about increasing your ROI in a tournament. It's about increasing your hourly overall, you know? So like if I play a certain tournament that gives me an additional $100 an hour, and I have to pay losing 1% ROI on every other table, like it might be worth it. So sometimes you got to figure out what's worth it, an ROI or hourly for you. You know, you don't want to be mixing like 1Ks with 55s.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. And how many tables do you feel that streaming adds to your grind? So
I don't know. I don't know. A lot, a
like
lot,
4
man.
to 6, something like that.
I don't, if I'm 12 tabling, it probably feels like I'm 15 to 16 tabling. So yeah, it would add like around 30 or 40% of the tables you have open. So if you're going to start a stream, like play no more than 6 tables. Play 4 tables. Just get the hang of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, streaming doesn't help because it's not just it's commentary. It's switching the scenes to the right tables. It's reading the chat. It's a lot of interaction.
It's pretty intense, that's for sure. What has been the biggest challenge for becoming a Twitch streamer? What do you think has been the most difficult thing to sort of grasp, even over the journey to sort of master?
I don't know. Probably I don't know, when you, I guess going through downswings and having to do it publicly is tough. Yeah, just dealing with doing like going through all the bad shit, you know, and streaming that, having to do with the chat throughout all of that. That's probably the hardest part. But yeah, and it's when you're grinding as well, right? It's so much easier to just let yourself go if you're not streaming, right? You can just do what you want. You can accept mistakes. You're okay with it. But streaming it, you just have all this criticism. No matter what you do, it's going to be criticized, even if it's right, by the way. So, you know, it just adds this like whole new stress level. So that's one thing I do miss with grinding outside of streaming is you can just like make mistakes. You can make exploitable plays as well. Nothing to do with chat. You can just play your own game, and it's probably more enjoyable grinding without streaming from a poker standpoint, but overall, like happiness, life EV, achieving goals, I'd much rather be streaming.
Yeah, I that's well said. What is when did you believe that you were going to get signed, or when did you believe, because you did sign with Party Poker? I know Jamie and I, you know, we came over and you and Matt were definitely top of our list. You guys hadn't signed yet with someone, but it was definitely that time.
Yeah.
What was kind of your thought process getting into it, to thinking, because you knew it was coming? I mean, the offers, there were sites interested, people were talking about it. What was sort of going through your mind when it was time to make a choice? Like, what were you looking at? What were some of the factors you wanted to decide?
It was pretty straightforward. I was just like, well, Party had just had their update, so like before it, they had really bad software. Like it was tragic. Then they had the update, and everything. It was 10 times better. So a lot of my volume was on Party since then, and then you and Jamie approached me, and I was like, this is perfect timing. Going to get a bunch of other streamers on board, so it was actually pretty easy, man. It was really easy.
What so in terms of the major changes, some real name stuff, and also the no HUD, I'm just always curious, because someone, you know, you have played on other sites and there are HUDs there. What did you think when you heard that Party was going to eliminate the HUD? And by HUD, we mean heads up display with all the numbers, statistics, the matrix you guys may see at home if you see some videos or replays or other streamers have. What's your thought on the no HUD?
I think the only people it benefits, apart from obviously the recreationals, you know, they look, at the end of the day, like Rex, they're going to be losing money regardless. It's just, I suppose, a matter of losing. Like, I don't think it's going to change the win rate at all, because when you have a professional playing against a rec, they're going to win the same amount of money with and without a HUD. The main thing a HUD is good for, in my opinion, is for regs versus regs, you know, and multi-tablers. So if I'm playing someone who has an equal skill as me, and he's 4 tabling and I'm 12 tabling, and we both don't have a HUD against each other, he's always going to be doing better because he's going to have less tables. So I think the people it hurts the most is going to be the ones who multi-table, 12 table, 10 table. I don't think it'll change anything for those who like 6 table, whoever can handle whatever amount of tables it might be. I think overall it's just going to be affecting the multi-table grinders. As for like the Rex, like I guess they feel safer. It's cooler for them. They can't be taken advantage of or whatever it might be. But like they're losing money regardless. And I don't think it's going to be any slower because there's no HUD. It's only going to affect those multi-table grinders.
And what about the real names? What do you think about this change and this implementation sort of for the more prestigious series, WPTs, or certain parts that they're sort of segueing into this more and more? Do you like having the real name? I guess for us, because our real name shows at the table, right? Already, it's sort of nice to have other people. But what do you think from an overall perspective of
I think from like a spectating standpoint, it's good. You know, people who want to watch the high stakes tournaments, like the big game, right? The 5200 is good to know. When you have like Haxton grinding there and Greenwood, I think people enjoy that. It's probably like not very beneficial for me specifically, because if I'm playing high stakes, I have all these regs who know who I am and I have no idea who they are. So it's not great for me as a player, but you know, from like a spectation standpoint, it's it should be fine. Yeah, like I don't mind it. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah. Tell me, I've been asking a lot of questions about party because I'm genuinely curious of what you streaming and how you feel on some of these, because there are pretty monumental changes within for a long time of playing poker online. What's the climate like in New Zealand and in Australia for live poker? Because I think Australia had sort of their Black Friday, what was called in the US back in, that was April 15, 2011. But was it 2-3 years ago now? A year and a half ago? I don't know what Australia.
Yeah, I think it was 2017. Yeah, late 2017.
So what was that like, and how did that? Is that why you're living in New Zealand?
Yeah, that was so shit. I was like, oh god, I got to go through the trouble of like moving countries now. Like this is a nightmare. Leaving my apartment that I just like re-signed for another year. So like that was a real shit show. But you know, luckily I had my 3 like best friends, Travis, Henry, and Patrick, who were all down to come to New Zealand for a 6-month stream house, and made it a lot easier. But yeah, it was not ideal having to like move countries, you know, because you know I love my family. I'm very close to my nieces, so it wasn't ideal. But at the end of the day, it like has to be done. You know, you can't just not follow what you want to do.
And is that something, do you know, or is there people advocating for it to come back? Is there some laws in place? Is it being challenged?
I don't know right where. I don't know right now. Like 3 years ago, I was really into it, but since I moved, I haven't followed.
Pav, come on, man, we need you. You
Yeah,
gotta be
mate,
like the face.
I'm doing my best over here.
You could be the face of this movement. So I guess you're grinding. You're busy. You got a lot on your plate right now. But yeah, it'd be nice.
Put me on the spot, Jeff.
Yeah, tell me about this. You just moved. I was following your Instagram stories. You had a nice, looks like an apartment upgrade, a bachelor pad. You got a beer, you got everything looks clean.
Dude, I had the worst, most stressful. How long was it? 6 to 8 months of my life in my previous apartment. I moved in there, and this is an issue with what I do. Like when I inspect places before I move in, I don't inspect it well enough. I just look at them. Yeah, it looks good. I don't try the taps. I don't open the cupboards. I don't check the doors. I'm just, it's all great. You know, so I immediately moved in, and the very first night moving everything in, I had the lady beneath me who lived beneath me. She comes upstairs and she complains about how I'm all noisy and like I was unpacking boxes, to be fair. And that was just the very start. So like 6 months, throughout those 6 months, she must have came to my front door around 10 times. And there were times where she was crying and saying like, it's so loud for me.
What, blah, blah, blah. Just like streaming or getting excited?
Bro, not even from me streaming, just from me walking. Like these floorboards were absolute trash. So you can imagine, like even doing dishes at like nighttime, she could hear all the crap. The infrastructure was so terrible, even though I was paying like $600 a week there as well. So I'm only paying $100 more here a week, and it's a complete upgrade. It was just so unbelievably unfortunate to have this mental case beneath me, and just I signed a 1.5 year lease, so I left after 6 months, and
couldn't take it.
I couldn't take that. She's the reason I left. Like we had so many arguments, and at the same time, I don't even really blame her. Like the whole infrastructure of the place was just trash, but it was so stressful.
I think people don't think about it this way, because I like to think about it like life as EV. You know, you talk about bad beats or 2-outers or a big spot, but like stuff like that, life stuff happens every day, all the time. I mean, we're in the Matrix, obviously. Anyway, it's like we're running a stuff at all points. There's things that happen, but that's worth a lot, right? I mean, that kind of stress, like you're worried she's gonna come
up. Dude, that's exactly it. Like I'm streaming like stress. Like, oh, am I gonna be too loud here? Am I gonna have to deal with her again? I mean, I got scammed a little bit by like the realtors not letting me know like how mental this chick was, because she's had arguments before with previous tenants. So like they kind of scammed me at the same time. But yeah, that's a pretty disgusting bad beat.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like having a train. It's like if there's a train that passes by every hour at 30 minutes, you gotta, you don't know it. It's sort of you kind of gotta know it. But all right, well, so you're improving your living. You're like the Jeffersons. You're moving on up. You're crushing. You're doing things. You're hitting scores. What is the biggest way you study poker? Because you're definitely one that shares with what's going on. You like to, you post stuff. You do ICMIs, or I know you work hard on your game. What are some of the biggest things you do, and then what you could recommend to those? I know, obviously I support Raise Your Edge. You're with
yep.
Upswing. There's a lot of good courses out there. There's a lot of good information done in different ways, a lot of similar but different. Other than, the course stuff, what's like a way that you think that really you find is effective in studying? What method do you do? Like, do you set aside, I'm going to study 2 hours today,
Yeah.
watch videos? Like, how do you actually study?
For me personally, I think it depends on your skill level right now. I think if you're completely new to the game, the number one thing to do is go to any training site. It doesn't matter if it's Run It Once, Upswing, Raise Your Edge, Learn Pro Poker. Some might be more overpriced than others. I don't know. I only use one site. But at the end of the day, you're spending like $100, whatever it might be. I don't know what the standard courses are, but they can't be more than like $100-$200 a month.
Right.
You're going to turn that investment around. Like, that's going to be the best investment you can make as a poker player. But the thing is, most people are just cheap. They don't want to spend any money. For those advanced players who have spent money on training sites, I mean, I spend most of my time now just in PO. I just run sims and I'm in ICMI. So that's where all my time is right now. But if you're new to the game, go with any training site. It doesn't matter which one it is. I can plug Upswing. It doesn't matter. It's every site. Providing you put the work in, you're going to be a good player. It doesn't matter which one you pick.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, because if you're playing $100 buy-ins or $50 buy-ins, you're talking about or $20 buy-ins, and you spending whatever it is on a course. It doesn't take much where it's immediately realized. And I think it's similar to Twitch or really anything. You got to invest in yourself. If you're on Twitch and you want to be a streamer, get a good microphone, get a good camera, get a good thing when it's time. Like, yeah, okay, it costs a bit, but you want to put out a good product, and that's something that comes over time. It's important to start. You got to just sort of go for it and do stuff. But then, as you get going, it's good to start putting a little bit of investment, or if you decide you're really going to go for it, to add to that. So, like, again, I know again, we do support different kind of core training sites, but ultimately,
it's all the same shit.
Doesn't really
it's
matter.
all the same shit, mate.
Honestly, there's people just learn in different ways too. You might like a style different. That's not bad to try a few, and then just decide, try it out. If you don't like one, return it, or just go with one, or do like a mini version of one, or the beginning version, and see if you like the style of the trainers of the course. I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think why people are so hesitant as well to like invest into a training site is because you have all these guys in the micro stakes. They don't want to invest pretty much an entire role into a training site, which is fair enough. So, like, I think for any new player, like, obviously starting low is smart. You need to get a feel of the game and whatnot. But I would just get a job. I would get a job and then jump into the low stakes. I wouldn't even bother with the micros, because they play so similar anyway, and you're just going to make more money in the low stakes. So I would get a job. I don't know, save up $2,000 or $3,000, get a training site, watch videos daily if you can, and then play low stakes, follow bankroll management, and you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. What was one of the biggest breakthrough moments in your career? Because most of a lot of my guests are either have a live background in poker or played a bunch. You really haven't played much live poker. Is that right? Have you played any like live?
I played Vegas last year at the WSOP. That was pretty much the only live poker I've played.
Yeah, that was. I know you're on a vlog. I ran into you in a tournament there at the
Win.
At the Win. One of my buddies, actually one of the more funny stories I've ever had. My friend, he was in that tournament with you, and then he busted and played the largest cash game of his life. He came and played 300, 600 no limit with me in the back room, and just hopped in. He's 1-2 player, and he won a ridiculous amount of money, and never had played before large like that. Like, literally 5-10 was the largest game he ever played, and he was playing 300, 600, and that was that day. That was a good memory. But your other friend, Henry Bolero around that time too.
Yeah.
He hit a massive score, didn't he? He's been on fire. What was that score? He
Yeah.
got
He
200
was
or
playing. He played the 3,500 Venetian for. How much did he finish second for? Two. I can't remember, mate. I think it was between 180 and 220, I
it was
believe.
a large score, and that was fun because I remember you were sweating him. Maybe you even had a piece or a swap, or just I know he's a good friend of yours.
I had a small piece.
What you did have a little taste?
A small piece, yeah.
There you go. That's part of the fun, man. I love when you have like a core group of guys, and it makes it all the more fun because tournament poker, you're basically losing every day for a living, right? It's like a lot of days you have negative days, or you don't make a final table, you're not winning tournaments every day. So it's nice to have sort of like your close friends who are good
No, for
players, or in a
sure.
group that you have more success because you're looking for positives a lot of times. And tell me about your core. Who's your sort of crew? Poker guys you hang out with, talk poker with, and Bond. I know you guys had a stream house as well, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
it's them, like Patrick, Henry, and Travis, the streamer boys. I'm speaking to them daily for the last like 3 years now.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. I mean, that's a lot of fun. That's definitely the way to do it. If you're, my biggest advice too to people is if you're coming up, it's nice to have people that are also hungry. That
yeah, I think
want to
that's
talk
important.
poker. Really got to have it, and that's obviously the fact that you guys all stream. And you're all very good players. That's great. What has that been like? And what was the stream house? Tell me where that was, how that came about, and how you enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was in Auckland after the ban in Australia, and I was lucky enough for them to come over from Germany and Canada to spend 6 months here, and that was fun, man. I loved it. If you pick the right roommates, like they have the same goals and they have the same job, like it's tough not to have a really fun time.
Was that an enrolling process for you? Because I mean, if you're doing a stream house, everyone's got their own setup and their own reasons why. Oh, it's easier. Come here. Let's get a place here. Because the whole thing, traveling, packing, especially with streaming, a lot of equipment. It's a bit of a headache. How did you get them to come to you?
I don't know, mate. I think it was Henry. He suggested it on Twitter. Actually, he made a joke. He was like, "We'll do a stream house." And you there, Jeff?
Yeah, sorry, my Siri started talking to me. I just had to Siri the iPad cut in. Go ahead. So okay,
So Henry suggested it on our Twitter, and then we're like, let's do it actually. And I don't know how easy or tough it was for them to come over, but for me, it's very easy from Australia to New Zealand because you don't need a visa. You can just rock up and stay for as long as you want.
And how did you guys do overall? How was the experience? Did you guys all
we did really good actually? Yeah, I think combined we would have made around 300 or 400k. Like I was really lucky for the 6 months. I think I made 60 to 100k. I can't exactly remember. I think it was around 60 or 80k. So yeah, I ran really good. Patrick was off to a really bad start, and then he ended up chopping the million for like 100k on stars. So it was pretty funny.
I saw that. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I've done a couple stream house type deals and situations, and there is an energy about it. It gets you kind of motivated, exciting. You want to perform well, and everyone's kind of excited. It's like it's like a fraternity camp kind of atmosphere. And again, I'll say cherish those things because it gets harder. I'm married. I have a child. It's poker and all that. It's great. It's hard to just the less responsibility, the easier it is to do those type of things. So that's awesome, man. I like seeing that. I like seeing the collaborations and like seeing you guys come up. Who would you say is the most similar to you? Like who else, like in terms of work ethic and just grind and passion out of all those guys? Doesn't have to be them even.
No, it's fine. It's Henry for sure. Yeah, I don't know. We probably are very competitive with each other, and we like to anti-sweat each other. It's a weird bond. So that was one weird thing about having a piece of him in Vegas was I couldn't really anti-sweat him anymore, but it paid off luckily. But yeah, he's pretty similar to me, I would say.
And do you see yourself playing more live poker? Does that interest you, or for right now, it's just the grind?
I was going to go to Vegas this year. I mean, I already booked the Airbnb, had my flights ready, and then obviously COVID hit, and all of that was refunded. So I want to make the WSOP a yearly thing. Like I really enjoyed it last year. It is really draining. I did spend like 30 days there, like maybe it was 45 days. Sorry, I must have spent no more than 5 or 6 days not grinding. But yeah, it was really fun, man. Like I think it's a good amount of time, 1 month live and then 11 months online.
That seems like a fair breakdown. I'm looking here through your YouTube, and you've got a very, very strong following. You get good viewership on your videos. What has been your YouTube experience? Do you enjoy this? Do you have an editor? How much time and effort do you put into these videos, or are you uploading them and you have people that make them, and how involved are you in
Yeah,
this?
so we got parties, have a paid editor, Jason, who does all my stuff. He's done my last 53 videos. But before that I did all of them myself, and yeah, it's I stopped YouTube for a while there because I was just, I had a really poor editing process. I would like literally watch my entire video and then edit throughout. I wouldn't make notes throughout the stream, so it was an absolute nightmare to actually edit them. But now it's really easy. Party have made it simple for me. Just ship the video over to Jason, send the notes over with the timestamps, and it's easy.
Yeah, we got a good team, and that's something where I even want to try to output more, because I know I have a queue and I have help, but it is nice to build the play. It's also tricky, man. There's all these like DMCA and violations and pulling stuff down. I mean, it's like seems like now I'm every other day I'm getting something down again. It looked like the YouTube battle had been won and it was sort of through, and then I'll get like a couple things will happen, and then I got now the Twitch, the music, the clip stuff. It seems crazy. Like a lot of people took them down and back them up, and you got to have this different music thing. So it's just always something, it's like it really is. You got to be on your toes and be ready for change, because like just seems like there's always there's some little thing you got to duck and dive and weave on. What do you think about all that? Do you feel that are you prepared on Twitch? Looking here, you got to coming in on 70,000, which is pretty crazy numbers. I think you and I are roughly the same in terms of Twitch. And obviously you've been very active and just sticking at it and crushing it. Is that I'm throwing a lot of questions at you at once, but what do you think about Twitch, the DMCA, and how have you pivoted or had to adapt with that?
Mate, I've hated it because my whole stream is just like, I need my music. It keeps me sane. All this copyright free music is awful. So at the moment, I'm kind of just, the rule is 3 strikes and you're perma banned from Twitch. But I mean, I know they're striking people on VODs that are like 1 or 2 years old, so you can't really do much about that. So I think Twitch have their own issue to deal with in terms of like figuring out their own software to make sure they're not striking really old content. Because let's be honest, getting people to delete all their clips and VODs is just ridiculous. And if they keep doing this, if they keep striking all these streamers and they start banning streamers, I'm not going to have a business anymore. So I'm not too worried about it. But at the moment, I'm not really doing anything. I'm still playing copyright music. I'm just enjoying myself. If I get 1 strike, I'm going to just cut it completely and go back to just, no music, maybe rain sounds or Monster Cat, whatever it might be. But right now, I don't care. I'm just playing what I want, playing it relatively low though, so my voice is like kind of muffling the music. But yeah,
I hear people say if they get 1, they're doing that because it's too close to the line. If you get 2,
well, yeah, I mean, people are saying well, yeah, I wouldn't risk 2. It's my career right there. It's crazy, but yeah, I wouldn't risk 2. 1, I'm happy to risk. I might get lucky and I might be on a heater here and not get hit with a strike for a couple of years, which could be good, or until they at least fix the issue.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I can't imagine they actually ban you. Maybe there's like a thing where it's down and then they have to like take
I don't think I heard they can't even legally, like if they want, it's not a legal thing. Like the legal thing is for them to take down the video, and mute the audio. That's the legal thing. They don't have to ban you. That's just on their end. The whole banning thing came from, if you get 3 strikes on Twitch in general, you just get banned. So they're just, converting that to like, if you get 3 strikes, you're getting banned. But they don't have to ban you, over this. They could have like a different set of rules for copyrighted music. Like maybe in the future, they just take down the VOD entirely. Like if they hear copyrighted music, they don't mute that section of the broadcast. They just take down the whole VOD instead. Like that would make more sense instead of like putting strikes on people, when you can just avoid this whole, you can have a business and avoid, taking money away from yourself essentially.
I agree. Yeah, hopefully they find a good solution. What is your thought right now in the high roller scene? Like when you watch her, I know we were doing some of the big game. Both we're sort of looking through and doing some of that. Do you enjoy commentary? Is that something you actually enjoy to watch? Like high level?
I do. I want to do more commentary in the future, and I haven't done anywhere near enough. But I enjoy watching the big game, and I don't know. It's nice to watch the elite play and break down and see how like similar you are in thoughts of your thought process and see like what you could do to exploit a particular spot.
Yeah. And who do you think right now, from what you've seen and just what your kind of stable of friends and people and thought, and obviously you have a good network. Well, who do you believe yourself or sort of consensus is the best players? I mean, there's a handful, right? There's a lot of the guys at the high stakes you could throw in, but who do you believe that you like when you see, you're like, man, this guy is just gets it done?
I would say Nick Petrangelo. He has an incredible mind. Like he'd be my favorite. I don't watch too much high stakes poker, but when I do, I'm always rooting for Nick because I watched both his courses at Upswing. He had winning poker tournaments and high stakes MTT sessions, and he's got like a ridiculous solver mind. Like he does some incredible shit. Like he has a great mind. So Nick Petrangelo is someone who I look up to as a poker player.
Very nice. And what was your family's? Yeah, I think you said how your brothers, and you have three brothers, two older, one younger, but and then your parents. What was their initial reaction when you kind of said, "I'm going to be playing poker"? Or did you sort of just do it for like fun? It wasn't too crazy, and then all of a sudden you just sort of segued in, or did you say, "Hey guys, I'm going to be a professional," or "I'm playing poker now," and like what was that whole interaction?
Um, well, I was playing it. I remember that's right. So I was working at a casino as a dealer for 6 months before I got
Hmm.
fired for just being late to work too many times and being a smartass essentially. And so I was 18 years old when that happened. I'd always been playing poker pretty regularly throughout working at the casino, and I've always been playing. I don't recall really like a month where I haven't played for the last, how old am I now? Like 11 years or 10 years. So yeah, like they always knew that I played poker and that I enjoyed it. But they, when I'm playing for like 5 years and nothing's happening, they're not going to see it as anything more than a hobby. But then Twitch came along, and I suppose like they viewed Twitch as my job, even though it was like bringing in no money.
Right.
Up until like a year later streaming, I was like, all right, I saved up had like a 10K life roll. It was kind of stupid, honestly, but I just went with it, and I moved out of home, had my first apartment, and ever since then they were very supportive. Like my mum has always been very supportive. She's kind of just been like, I don't really care what you do, just don't do anything stupid and have fun. And my dad's been kind of like a little bit more traditional. You need to have like a weekly salary and a weekly income, sorry. And yeah, he was against poker at the start, but the moment I moved out, he was probably my biggest fan.
So, is that fair to say? Like when that makes sense too, because it's a bit confusing. But if it's like, oh, I'm a professional, you get the purple tick. You're like a Twitch streamer. You get some revenue, which people I think have a misconception about YouTube and Twitch a bit, how it works and how much money it is, and really what the game plan is. Because ultimately you're looking to get sponsored. You're looking to get affiliate good deals and some other relationships, right? So that's kind of the game, the playbook for it. But when you said they kind of thought like Twitch was your employer, so like was it a big deal when you signed and you're getting paid a salary from Party Poker? Did they sort of recognize that as a milestone and a big deal, or maybe you had to explain it to them, or did they kind of think Twitch was that?
I had to explain it a little bit. They didn't quite understand it. Like the amount of times they've mistaken Twitch for an actual poker site I've lost count. But yeah, that they thought that it was cool. I mean, look, starting this journey, I never seeked out a sponsorship. The only thing I wanted to do from Twitch was have fun and make money to survive. It wasn't about making X amount. It wasn't about getting sponsorships. It wasn't about impressing anyone or getting my parents' approval. I just wanted to have fun and make enough money, and all this stuff was a bonus. So after I got sponsored by Party, which was like 3 years into my streaming career, they didn't really notice much. I just told them, yeah, I've got more money coming in now, so like that's nice, and they're like, oh, cool. So you have this is essentially like a separate guaranteed salary as opposed to poker where anything could happen. Like this year I'm down 20K in poker. Last year I only made 50K in poker. So like anything can happen in poker. Having this like extra income definitely helps.
And we touched on this earlier about what's difficult in Twitch in particular, because you're kind of on blast, right? Like with the winning, that is a little more exemplified, a little more amplified this is the right word, I'm sorry, about it's exciting. People see it, they feel it, all that. But then losing also, same thing. People like can start talking smack, or you're overrated, or, look, or you're not playing well, or this and that. How do you deal with that? Like when you're on a downswing, because it is front and center, especially how you kind of explain it all, and you keep track of every buy-in and show it and let people know. So, it's got the good and the bad on that sense. Well, how do you sort of, does that affect your mood? Do you notice yourself a little?
Dude, it affects my mood. I mean, that's the thing though. I'm always wearing my heart on my sleeve. So like, I'm just swearing at a lot of people all the time. I think the number one thing to help yourself get through like that experience of like, being in the spotlight, going through a downswing, the number one thing is understanding like, where are these people coming from when they say these things? Like, what's their main goal? You know what it is, right? Their goal is to get you, to bring you down. And I just try and think like, is there a single successful person in this world who spends time trying to bring someone down? There's not. So like, you think about even like toxic good poker players, like they don't even spend so much time looking to like devalue someone's worth, or tell them like it's just a waste of time telling someone like, that like you're trying to tell me that I'm not good at poker, I can't beat the game. Like, okay, whether it's true or not, like you're not really doing anything. You're not improving anyone's life by like making this a fact. And like I shouldn't have to waste my time to prove them wrong either. But sometimes I get sucked in. But that's one thing I go back to. Like their main goal of bringing these things up is just to bring me down. And
yeah, that's a great way of explaining it and looking at it. I agree. I mean, it's even too, some of my biggest scores are stuff you just see on YouTube or even on Twitch or Twitter. People like focus on a hand, or I had a big
such
score.
a fucking trash community. It's honestly so
it's
much
crazy.
of the poker
it's like,
I can't
you just
stand
had a
sometimes.
6-figure score, but man, you really f that hand up, or like, how could you do that? Like,
No shit.
It's
You stream
like,
10 hours a day, and then you upload like a 1 hour highlight, and it's just this crisp stuff.
Yeah.
And like they ignore everything and they focus on this one spot. Like at the end of the day, mate, there are so many errors to me. But you could think of a spot. You could think of any board, any particular hand, any position, and you could be like, all right, this is one board I know how to play absolutely perfectly. And you're not playing it perfectly. You're just going to make a mistake to some degree in every single pot. It doesn't matter. Like there's not one person who doesn't make a mistake in every single pot. And it's just a shame, you upload all this free shit, and look, there are good people as well, but you see a lot of people just focusing on the negative.
Yeah, it's I mean, YouTube even more so. I think I saw Henry talk about this, or got really upset. I mean, YouTube's even more, I think, more trolly and negative, right? Like people are just blast negative comments or say mean stuff.
If I had this many good hands, I'd win tournaments too. At the end of the day, like we're showing you good hands. That's the point.
Yeah.
You want to see me folding 6-4 onto the gun? Like, all right.
Yeah, it's 12-hour stream. There's gonna get aces.
Go ahead,
a couple times.
It's gonna be there.
Yeah. What are you most excited about coming up with poker? In terms of, is it the WPT with Party? Is it the fact that you've been studying a lot and you're learning and you're moving up by, like, what to you is this first 2020 has been a little bit effed, right? Like it's just kind of like a weird deal. The whole world seems on its head with what's going on. What are you excited about? What gets you going every day?
Nothing like serious don't get me excited. They never have. What gets me excited is just like my own shit, getting my own shit together. And like these days, I don't spend enough time focusing on like studying and getting the right sleep. And I think that's the main thing that should be, in order to improve your life as your life overall, and as a poker player, you need to just squeeze in those things the most, like regular sleep, getting enough of it, and putting in regular study. And like those two things make me happy. If I don't do enough of those two things, like I'm not happy. I'm in a shit mood. I'm not being productive enough. So if I can get those two things corrected, like that's what I look forward to, like figuring that shit out, making my life overall better.
How do you give me your playbook for studying? Do you block your phone off, turn off notifications, do 2 hours? Are you on your computer and you have it running a video and you kind of have some email and stuff going on the side, or what's your like? How do you?
Me doing 1 hour of like intense good studying could be the equivalent of someone doing 100 hours. It's quality over quantity. It's like a lot of people say, like, oh, Pav, I should do 3 times. I should have an equal amount of study time versus an equal amount of playing time. which is like impossible, I think, as an online player at least. Live player, it might be possible.
Right.
But as an online player, that shit's just way too hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's just like I don't block anything out. I'm just like, all right. Usually a lot of my study's done post-stream, so I'm already kind of tired, which isn't great. But I'll just save hands, copy the hands into PO, put the input in right, and screenshot these and put it down on an Excel sheet and go over it. But, you know, I used to study like pretty incorrectly. Like a year ago, I would just run a lot of deep stack spots, which aren't really necessary anymore. It's everything in poker is like sub 30 big blinds. And yeah, a lot of my shit now is just sub 30 big blinds and like the most common spots, you know, button big blinds, and, you know, cut off hijack, just these really standard spots of sub 30 big blinds that until you like run these spots, you don't see how awful you're playing them. Like sizes, how some spots should be like close to a range check. I'm just overseer betting. Yeah, a lot of my shit is just running hands in PO, and I don't block anything out. You know, I'm just, that's a little bit too intense for me.
Yeah, you're dialed in. Okay, and we have a lot of questions, so I do want to make sure we get to try to get
just
through
fire whatever, mate. Fire whatever.
A lot of them. Is it what other, besides WSOP, do you have any other series or places or any other trips that, like, let's say COVID wasn't happening, do you have any other stuff like on your is there any other places you want to visit that for poker otherwise? Like, what about travel?
Yeah.
And you know, when you get a break, it's basically, you said WSOP and then streaming, but do you have anything on your horizon or places you'd want to go or have done?
I only want to do Vegas. Like, that makes most sense because I'm not looking to take time off of streaming. It doesn't really make sense to me. A lot of people ask me about the Aussie Millions every year. I mean, it makes sense. It's pretty close to me, but I don't really feel great taking off like 2 months, you know, like 1 month is enough for me to take off streaming. Because like I said, you take off quite a bit of time and you lose all this momentum, you lose these viewers, and I don't know, it's such a sick grind that it's like almost not worth it. If you reach a particular level in your streaming career, it's not really worth it to take days off, you know? So I figure out like, all right, is there enough EV in grinding live and making this hourly, and is that going to be worth sacrificing a whole 30 days of Twitch, whatever it might be? Like, overall, it's just like I'm firing 10K a day in buy-ins online. Like, it's tough to find enough live games that are going to be worth me not streaming and grinding online.
Makes perfect sense. All right, let's dive in here. I think there's a few other things to cover, but we've covered a bunch, and there's also a lot of great questions, so it makes my life easy. Everyone thinks it's just easy to go to Twitter and see what people want to know, and they deliver high quality questions for the majority. So let's get in there, Pav. Let's see what we got. All right away, top question here: do you believe in Nagy and ACR? Do you have any thoughts on ACR and Nagy?
I think he's, yeah, I don't know too much about Nagy. He's a funny one. ACR overall, I think they've done pretty good. You know, they've acknowledged the bot problem. They've sort of fixed the software. I mean, I think the software was like totally fine 1.5, 2 years ago. I think the software was like really good 2 years ago, actually. So I think they had a lot of unnecessary updates. But in terms of like combating bots and being open about it, I think they've done that well. I think they've done the guarantees very well. They have a pretty decent MTT schedule, and they just got to fix this like ridiculous 4 and 5 hour late reg. They got to start tournaments a little bit earlier as well. I think like you got these poor Americans who are grinding like past midnight as a standard for like the games they run.
Yeah, I like Phil a lot. I actually have known him for a while, and I think he does a good job. Obviously,
I played with him as well in Punta Cana. That's right. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I remember sitting next to me.
I think, were you there that year when I was there?
Yeah, in 2017, I think it was.
18, 17, maybe, I forget.
Yeah, they were playing some 5K. I can't remember.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, that's interesting because I think, you know, again, my 98% of my volume's party, but I still once in a while I'll flick in and it's funny. It's a funny way to say, but like I guess he's saying, do you believe in?
Oh, do I believe? I don't know, mate. I don't know enough about everything that goes on in the background, so it's tough to say whether I believe or not. I mean, you know, I think he means well. I'll say that.
All right. Well, it's funny because we covered so much party stuff, and we are team party. But there's a couple other questions. Also asking about, will you play WSOP online? Any of that? Have you caught your attention on any of that stuff?
As in like the WSUP site? I don't think I can play on that. Unless he's referring to the schedule on GG.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I'll play a bit on GG.
Yeah. And I mean, you are primarily party poker though. Would you say, do you think the schedule has gotten, overall, I mean, I'll say this too, because it's nice coming from stars, and I just seen how party is so much for the players, what they're doing. It's also nice to have competition, right? Because it's good when there's multiple different good tournaments on different sites, and it's not just all one, because sites can kind of really drive you and take the piss out of you on in a more than one way. So it is nice that there's it's not just all one site or two, that there is some competition. So I'd say that's good. But party's definitely. The other thing I want to mention, this is what I forgot earlier, is with one of the reasons I think people don't realize party's got a new team, the Twitch team, which it's brand new this past year, essentially having a full-on team. But really what Rob Young was saying, and when I met with him, was they weren't ready. Like you said, the software used to suck and their guarantees weren't there. So like Rob didn't want to let's hire 10, 12 people, promote our stuff, when he said he didn't think it was up to snuff to put it out there. So I think that's like it wasn't just Rob or party didn't understand Twitch or get it. They just weren't really ready to promote it. And now they feel it is. So I think that's something that people maybe don't understand as well, which I didn't fully understand, but it makes a lot of sense. So like you said, it's right place, right time. And we're glad we're aligned. We're on the right team, Pav. That's for sure. I'll speak for us on that one.
Thanks, mate.
All right, so here he says Al Pappy is saying, can you see these questions or no?
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it. Has the last downswing brought into question his actual win rate? Do you maybe touch on that one more time? We've already covered this bit. You're on it. You said technically you're on a bit of a downswing this year. You're currently down, but you had a 30K score not too long ago, or 40. And I mean, it doesn't take much. I think at these $250, $500 buy-ins, it's like, you're talking about one day.
I mean, at the end of the day, like me losing 20K is not the same as someone losing, $500. Like me losing 20K at a 250 ABI versus someone losing 20K at a 2K ABI is completely different. I'm down less than 100 buy-ins this year. So like 70 or 80 buy-ins this year. That's how you should be looking at it. I think people make the mistake of looking at things in terms of dollar value and not buy-in value, because buy-in value is what makes sense. It's actually how you determine someone's ROI. Has last year's downswing made me rethink my actual ROI in these games? No. I think when you put as much work into your game as I do, or like most professionals, the good players at least, who put enough work into the game, they should be aware of like how much they're beating games by and whether or not, like you just know, right? It's not even about, first of all, it's so tough to get enough of a sample in a particular tournament to get your exact ROI because the games are always changing. But you just know on the field, are you being put in too many tough spots by like the average players in that field? If you are, then you probably shouldn't be in that game. If you feel like you're good enough in most of the spots you're being put in, then yeah, you're going to be beating it. So, like, sure. I've never once questioned my own poker skill in these games, not once.
Absolutely, that's a great answer. It's good to hear too. It's nice. I mean, too, right? When you're getting unlucky or you're losing ace king of queens or ace jack to ace 10, like it's kind of obvious. It's times when you're just getting blown out or you're making bad calls or you're just getting in behind, and then you kind of can sit back and say, wait, like I need to maybe shift or take a break or reevaluate what's going on. I mean, you generally have a pretty good idea if you're running bad.
Yeah, and it's also an important quality to have as a poker player, to like be aware of like when you're playing poorly, because ego comes in so easily. You can say like, oh, I'm just unlucky in this spot. Like a lot of people love to say, oh, it was just a flip, but like they might not want to say, oh, but I jammed 20 bigs under the gun with fives, you were lucky to run into ace king. It was just a flip. Everything's a flip these days. Equities runs so close in poker. Or 60-40 is now flips.
Yeah, or if you lose, your last hand, you lose a 3-outer or whatever, but really you had 8 blinds and you had just got,
not to mention on top of that, you had like 400 other hands in that tournament you could have played horrendously. There are so many spots where you can improve and like get the most out of each hand.
Yes. Very, very, very true. What about sports? Do you play any sports seriously for fun? What's your sports level?
I haven't played sports for a long time, but I do love watching AFL, Australian Football League, which is, yeah, I'm not sure if you've watched any Aussie rules football. It's only an Australian sport, very popular, and pretty much all I watch. Oh, and I also watch a bunch of MMA. Love to watch UFC.
Very nice. Question I just saw. Oh, is it harder to grow your Twitch channel or becoming a professional poker player?
It depends how much. I mean, like, it depends what you define as like professional for one, and what you want to reach growing your channel. Because it's definitely harder growing my channel to like this amount of viewers, I guess, because it took me 5 years to get to this point, whereas it only took me for 1 year to be, I guess, technically professional. Because being a professional is just having an income solely from poker and surviving. Like, that's what a profession is. So there are many meetings. A lot of people think being a professional is like only someone who's playing 10Ks, but in reality, it can be someone who's playing $11 tournaments, whatever is enough to make you survive. And if it's your main source of income, that's a profession. So yeah, definitely Twitch is going to be way harder, in my opinion.
Absolutely. How do you manage tilt when you're in a session? You're down. You haven't cashed the tournament. You're set. You got 1 or 2 screens left. Your day is just an absolute punching bag. Everyone knows it. You're sitting there. There's 1,500 viewers on, and you're in the big third. The bounty 55 on party left or something. How are you? How do you? How do
you can't break even.
Yeah, you have to take. How do you kind of just sit there and put on the show? Like, what do you? That's tilting, right? Like, that's tough. I mean, technically.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, my definition of tilt is letting my emotions affect my players. So, I mean, in order to like completely combat tilt, 2 things: be aware of what to do in particular spots. Like, I don't think anyone's ever been tilted knowing how to play a particular, like, whether, like, obviously you can be frustrated losing like a big hand, ace of the kings, like infinite in a tournament. But I'm like, for me, like, my main, the thing that aggravates me the most is not knowing what to do in a spot. Like, that's all it is. So I combat tilt by being financially secured in the tournaments I'm playing, being able to afford losing, and on top of that, understanding the game, studying these spots to combat them in the future. Because when I'm completely lost in a really standard spot, like, that's what annoys me the most. And I think, like, if you're tilting, if you're letting your emotions get the best of you and you're truly playing poorly because of it, just drop down the stakes. You're just not ready to play the stakes. Like, if someone who has $10 million gets quads over quads in a $1 tournament, you just don't see them getting mad, right? Because they're financially secure, like, they're making standard plays. Like, I don't see tilt really as that big an issue.
Makes a lot of sense. What is your best advice for beginners? Just overall, someone's here, they're interested, they've seen you, they like poker. What are you going to tell them right now?
You're not going to make a bunch of money fast, at least. It's poker is like a bigger grind than just like any regular job, because it's so many hours that goes into it, so many small things. The game is always changing as well. So if you want to get good, simple as this: go to any training site, watch videos regularly, actively study, write shit down if you have to, and have correct bankroll management. You follow those 2 things, and there is no way you don't make money and become successful. Just no way.
There you go. Is the life of a team pro sacrificed?
No. Why would that be sacrificed?
I don't know. I look at that as saying, is it you're always working or always streaming, always like, is your
but we can pretty much do what we want as long as we like support the site, promote it well, like, we stand by our values. Like, I choose to work this hard. I choose to stream these hours. Like, I enjoy it. I want to get the most out of myself. So
I think that's a misconception too, because I know some other sites are sort of how they do it, but even other sites in general, if you're putting forth your best effort, there's not in the clause like must stream X hours. And if there was, it would be way overblown. Like, you would do it in probably a week or a few days or whatever, right? Or it would definitely a week what they would require. But that's you kind of set yourself to the standard. And same thing. I'm not required to do podcasts. I'm not required to stream this or that, but it's just, you want to make party better. You want to make yourself better. You want to improve. You want to work hard. You want to build your own brand. You want to do all these things. So it's nice. I mean, that's when it's a win-win relationship for a site and a person. When you're just kind of going for it, you don't feel like you're handcuffed or told what to do. You get to kind of just
if you love what you're doing, it's not really like you're not sacrificing much. It's not hard work. Like the biggest sacrifice I made was leaving Australia and coming here. Apart from that, like it's all pretty standard and easy and fun.
Just and tell us a little more about where you are. How like I have been there. I mean, it's a really outdoorsy place. It's a really nice place. What's it like living there?
It's I mean, it's very similar to Australia. Apart from like the scenery is like probably a lot nicer over here in Auckland. But I haven't traveled much, so like I've only seen pictures, and the country is obviously gorgeous, but I haven't done much traveling around New Zealand. The people are really nice though, and everything's nice and clean over here. But yeah,
Are you a local celebrity when you get groceries? Is there any autographs, any pictures?
I've been recognized like twice in New Zealand, but like even then, it's just people who say like this is not like this is such a niche market poker. Anything unless you're like in a casino, it's pretty tough to be recognized.
And what about like Milford Sound or any of that stuff? You haven't gone up or done any of gone on those? You said you haven't done much.
No, what is that?
It's a breathtaking kind of like you do a boat ride, but it looks like Jurassic Park. I mean, it's just massive.
Oh, I've seen this. No, I haven't done that.
It's worth it. It's cool. You should take a bus ride or just go up and down one day or do a tour of it. It is. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. But I'm sure it's right there, right? You can do it anytime. You just hop up and do it. But it's there's a ton of cool stuff around there. I actually is New Zealand's internet better now? Because I remember I actually was planning on streaming there for a while and I couldn't get a stream off the ground. Like I was at hotels and I couldn't get off. Even Australia had problems at like the Crown back in like
Australia's garbage. I mean, I think they fixed up some of it now. They've got fiber in a lot of Australia, but 2 years ago was total garbage. New Zealand's really good though. I've had no issues with internet over here, so
that's good to hear.
Bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, maybe it's just some of the hotels or they didn't have it, but it's also like a weird request when you're traveling or you get Airbnbs or do stuff. It's like I need this, and like you ask for the up, and that's not really like a standard thing. People aren't generally checking their they can watch their Netflix or whatever. But when you start saying, oh, I got to do this, or I got to upload or streaming this, it's not a standard request. What are some next goals in poker in terms of Twitch or poker? What's on your? Do you have any specifics you can share?
No, I don't have any specific goals. Like, it's just getting the most out of myself. Like, I feel like, just got to do the small things right if you want to achieve anything. Just regular sleep, regular study, putting in a good grind, and anything outside of that, will come from doing those things right.
Right. Someone asked about COVID impact in your life. You already mentioned didn't really, sort of same as usual.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Play. Almost not even aware it's going on. Do you have any plans on high rollers or to be staked? Tell me about higher buy-ins? Do you sell any action on, for example, stake kings? Do you sell pieces, swap? What sort of, when you do move up?
No, I've never sold action. I've swapped pieces with friends, but I've never sold action except for the 10K on Party last year. I sold a bunch of action for that, but I don't know. I think I'm a little bit greedy in that regard. I think there's something nice about coming up from the micros and having all of yourself in every stake. I think it makes the game. It also keeps the game fun, right? You don't want to start turning poker into just like a regular job. You got to keep it fun and enjoy yourself. And I enjoy myself the most when I have all of myself in a particular game. Although if I ever see myself playing like live high rollers, it would most likely be after streaming. Like right now, I'm too focused on streaming, but once I give up streaming, I might look into the live scene, maybe.
Right. Okay. I think I asked you about this, and I'm affiliated and also involved heavily with stakings. Do you think that would benefit or people would want to do that? I think we talked about this a long time ago, but in terms of viewers, like if you put for say a $500 buy-in or a 1K and you sold 20 or 50% and your viewers, because I mean, you have such a strong community, people believe in your game. And I'm sure they want to, is it more so you just want to do it all on your own, or you just
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
want to risk?
it's more so it doesn't really make sense, because like the only reason it would make sense for me to sell action on stakings would be if I sold at a higher markup than what I'm beating the game. Otherwise, like I'm just losing money, because it wouldn't really make sense for me to put a piece up if I'm beating a particular tournament at like 33%, and then I put up the markup at 1.33. Like it would just be a break even purchase. And if I lowered the markup so you guys got to make a profitable purchase, I'm then losing money. So then you got to determine whether or not you make more money from the new people coming into your stream and sweating it versus like losing that ROI. For me personally, like I don't know what percentage of people would join my stream if I sold action that already aren't watching me. Like I think a lot of people who found out about stakings found out through Twitch as well.
Yeah.
So I can't. I don't really see my viewership increasing that much. And it also just seems like a bit of a hassle putting up action and like following through with all that crap, all the numbers, sending money.
Well, yeah, we can talk about this later off stream, but just to give a real quick overview on that, it's very easy because you just put up what you're doing and there's no other follow through. They do all the work. Like you literally, you post it, say you skip it or don't play or refund the bullet, they handle it. And then you can even cap it where it's like $1,000 buy-in. You want to have 20% and you sell $10 per person, right? So it's like you get more people to engage. I wouldn't say you necessarily bring in new people, but it like allows people to sweat that are like on your stream watching per se to have a taste. But just curious, I'm always interested on what people think or how, for me, I just think it's great. Like I think that's one of the biggest requests I get is people asking, can I buy action? Obviously you're not going to deal with the DM, right? You're not going to DM with like 30 people and have them send you and do it. It's just impossible. So it sort of handles that, but whatever. That's again, there's a separate conversation. There's one other thing I want to talk about after the stream too. So let's we'll hang out for a sec if you got a few.
Right,
we're gonna keep going here on this. Oh yeah, what about your daily routine? Give me your, you wake up, do you meditate, do you work out?
Nah, I've never meditated. I think I tried it once and I was like, this is the worst. I think I have like ADD or something. I can't focus on meditating. I just don't like it. At the end of the day, meditating, cold showers, all this never made you play better poker. Okay, maybe it like improved your life overall, like in terms of just thinking like clearer and whatnot. But like it's not going to teach you how to play poker. So I feel like for me to be like the calmest at the table is when I study the most and like understand the most. So yeah, I don't do any meditation. I don't have cold showers. I just run sims and try and get enough sleep. But yeah, my morning routine is wake up between 6 and 8 a.m. usually, iced coffee. I don't eat breakfast. Just never really have. Start my stream within like 30 minutes to an hour of waking up. Fast forward after the stream, Uber Eats, Netflix, sleep, repeat. It's very simple.
That's clean. That's very clean. Favorite poker site?
Mate, party poker.
All right. I put on.
I'm not gonna wear this and not say party. I'm not gonna sign with a site that I'm not playing the most on.
Sometimes I gotta just tee one up for you there, Pav. It was right here.
I should have hit you with the Nagy ACR, mate.
Oh man. Someone's saying, why are you so salty in the chat and ban anyone who disagrees with your play? I'm sure.
Yeah. Do you think any of that shit is true? Do you think anyone who comes in with that kind of that's what we do as streamers?
Kev, I gotta give you a chance to defend yourself out here on that.
That's what we do as streamers. When people calmly come in and they don't show any bias and they're not being an asshole, like we ban people for being too polite in my stream. We ban people for having like a normal debate. That's what we do over there. No, like fuck out of here. So those people, get off Twitter. Like you're wasting your life. Get off.
You wanna? All right. So there you go.
I don't, mate. The only people I ban are people who have one motive in my stream, and that's to make my day worse. Like you can discuss whatever you like poker-wise. You can disagree with how I played a hand, but there are so many healthy ways to phrase it. If you come in and say like, "You played it bad. You played that shit," without giving a reason, like I don't want to hear your brain. I'm done.
You're out.
You don't provide value on my stream. And if you take offense to your band, at the end of the day, it's a fucking chat room. Like, grow up. Big deal. It's a chat room, dude. Don't spend your day in a chat room.
Yeah, and being toxic.
Come on.
What is your biggest poker winnings?
53,000 on ACR in some main event, finishing third. Second is 35K on party in that 530 early this year.
Was that April 20th last year? April 22nd? Was that do you remember? Was it about a
The
year
50K?
ago? Yeah.
It was a year and a half ago, I think.
Okay. I do remember that.
No, it was actually, it might have been a year ago, actually. Yeah, no, you're right. I think it was 1 year ago.
Trying to think if it was the one my friend won who I
Yeah,
saved.
it was. He finished. Yeah, he knocked me out for third.
That's the funniest day of my one of the best days ever, because I staked him. I signed for my, I think it was I officially like went through with going through on the house I was buying, and my son was born that day. So that was a pretty strong day.
Money, house, and a kid.
Yeah, the triple threat. That was nice. Often watch your stream. How do you play without emotion? Would you say that's true? Do you play without emotion?
I mean, I don't. Emotion doesn't affect my play, so technically yes. But I stream with a lot of emotion. Like I swear a lot. I vent a lot. I can lose the most standard pot and vent and swear a bunch. I love doing that. But no, I don't really let my emotion affect my play. And how do I do that? Like I said earlier, I study and being financially stable.
How do you cope with the online poker schedule on a regular basis while living in New Zealand? I guess it's the same as Australia, though, right? So
it's a bit of a nightmare waking up early. I mean, that's the main thing, right? Getting in good games. Like everything's available in New Zealand as it is in Canada. It's just the shitty time zone. So you either have two options. You can wake up really early and get most of the peak hour in, or you can start really late and end towards the peak hour. It depends. A lot of people don't like variance, so they might play the evening schedule. Other people might not care too much and enjoy the variance, embrace it, make more money.
For sure. What's your favorite hand to be dealt? Let's take aces, kings out of it. What's your fun hand? What's the suited connector? What's your tricky?
Jack 9 suited. That's my hand.
That's me too.
That's a cash game hand.
I love that hand as well. There you go. We're aligned, Pav. We are pretty aligned. Okay. So we asked the good questions, guys. We did cover this. Think about real names, HUDs. We covered that. Pav is a big crusher. Poker Pro giving you some support there. What odds do you give yourself for being in the green for 2020? Interesting.
I could easily finish in the green this year. I would just lower my ABI. Like that could be a lock. It's not hard to make 20K at a 109 ABI. Like that's easy. I would say it's like a 95+% chance I finish in the green this year. That's what I would say. But like I'm not playing to finish in the green this year. I'm playing to make the most money. So, I might get really unlucky and I might run like absolute garbage and all the high stakes stuff. And like my wins might only come from all the low to mid stakes tournaments. That could be a thing. But I'm not thinking about finishing up this year. I'm thinking about making the most money.
What kind of beer do you like? What's your favorite beer?
I don't drink much beer, but funny enough, probably Corona. Yeah. I'm more of a rum guy. Too soon.
For sure. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really drink beer much either. A strategy question. What is the best tactic to go deep in a tournament? Preserve a big stack and only play premium hands, or try to dominate the table?
I don't know if that's really a tactic.
Yeah, it doesn't seem.
You got to play the hand you're dealt to the best of your ability.
I can just ask stuff. I don't have to think about anything. I'm just reading.
Yeah, I think that's also a pretty common question for a lot of beginners. Is like, I'm not running deep enough in tournaments and I'm making money a lot. I think a pretty common thing for players is they get like a lot tighter the deeper they get in tournaments. They just play more scared money. So it's probably like maybe a pretty common thing for beginners is they just want to get these small pay jumps and not play for the win, I suppose. So yeah, I would just say play as you would play if you weren't in the money. Play to the best of your ability. Play the hands the way they should be played.
Very nice. Preparation for grind. So you said you're not meditating, but you wake up and your schedule's already big. Do you work out? Do you hit the gym? Do you do a jog?
I don't do any working out anymore. Yeah, that's not good actually. You're making me realize how little I'm doing. But yeah, just sleep well, iced coffee, start the stream. I mean, everything's easy. Like it's actually pretty hectic in the morning. and post stream. Once the stream starts, like that's when you can actually relax.
True. I'm with you. It's hard to get live sometimes. Like the preparing stuff, you got this, you want to make sure everything's good. You want to try to eliminate distractions. It's just like so many times I'm like, oh, I'm going to start at this time. And it's just like, oh, no, all right, now, it's this time, but it's fun, man. Streaming is fun. There's some special thing about it. And also I think it really does take a unique individual because there's so many, it's really hard to start, but once you get going and if you like it, I think it's nice to see there's different teams now. There's different sites sponsoring players. There is that path eventually if you work hard and it's an opportunity that is realistic at this point where there's some voids and other multiple sites and competition, but it's not something that just happens, right? You gotta really, and you got to do it for the right reasons. I think we're all very similar. If you're saying I want to get sponsored by a poker site and you just start up a stream, it's not really realistic because it's just so far away, right? Like you're gonna have to put in years. You're gonna have to really.
You're gonna have to put in like literally thousands of hours to be noticed.
Yeah, it's but if you love it and you want to do it and you want to, if you're gonna play online poker, it's kind of cool to like, you may as well. Why not? Like start up, have it up, do it sometimes.
Don't stream poker unless you enjoy it. If you're gonna do it for the money, like you're not gonna make anything. Like I make no money from Twitch. I make nothing, dude. I make like 15,000 a year, and I stream heaps and to quite a bit of viewers. So you don't make money from Twitch. You make money from all the stuff outside of Twitch.
Right. Which exactly. That's well said. Do you think Party Poker is the best online poker site in terms of softness? What do you give me the real skinny on?
Dude, this softness thing, like.
Do you feel there's a difference though? Do you notice the quality?
No, I don't. I really don't. I think softness is the same across all sites and pretty much all stakes. You're going to find horrible players in the micro stakes. You're going to find good players in the high stakes, and you're going to find the in-between players in the mid stakes. I don't think there's like a massive difference. I really don't.
That's fair. I wouldn't know much. I do hear Party gets the nod a bit, but it doesn't make. You're right. Like people ultimately.
I mean, people come in my chat. People say that Party poker players 3-bet too much. Like this is what people say. Like, oh, there's too much aggression on Party poker. It's like I don't see it. Yeah, it's people say they 3-bet more on Party.
People just say stuff, People ask questions.
Weird shit spreads. I don't believe in the whole softness thing though.
What's your thought on the Brazilians out there? You got any thoughts on the Brazilian players?
I'm not a country reading type of player. I should probably put that into account more often. But yeah, Brazilians. What do I think of them? Like great, fun, punty players, I guess.
Man, my son's half Brazilian. Take it easy on Brazil, Pav. I was hoping you were going to go a little more neutral.
Made that great for the game.
Thought you were going to go more diplomatic on that one. All right, fair enough. We'll take a couple more, and then we're going to do the $55 ticket giveaway, and we're going to let Pav enjoy his morning. He's in the morning time. He's just getting his days. Has iced coffee. Looks fresh. It's a nice view out there. What's happening? Is it a nice day?
It's actually shit outside right now. It's wait, maybe I can
podcast.
It's very cloudy and nothing's going on.
All right, still a nice view. What was the question? I just saw. Looks good. So Brazilian got put on the chopping block there. Asking live or online. I think that's pretty straightforward. But I guess I'm curious. Maybe you like live more because you don't get to do it as much? What do you like to prep?
I like live as a vacation, for a bit of fun. But overall, like online, I way prefer. I don't really like interaction with I don't like being fake at the poker table. And if I'm real, I don't want to offend anyone and hurt their feelings. A lot of people, you just see a lot of cliches at a poker table, and a lot of I can predict usually like how the table talk is going to go. It's just a lot of like fake laughter at these standard spots, and I don't like to interact at the poker table. I'm just headphones in, grind, because I don't want to be a part of like the fake conversations that you usually see. So yeah. Online, I'm in my element. I'm safe. I'm having fun. I can be myself. There's no restrictions.
What would you have to be paid? I say to you, Pav, right now, no more poker for you. You just go about your world. You got to do something else. Do whatever you want. How much money would you have to be handed in cash to
never play poker again and not stream or just poker?
To stop playing poker is the question. So you could stream Call of Duty.
I could probably figure that out. I would have to figure out like how long I would expect to grind poker for, though. Like if I'm going to stop in 5 years, like ideally, I'm more than likely to make less than $1 million in those 5 years. So like maybe $1 million, I would stop. But like, like I'm trying to figure this out more. Like the more I play poker, I would say like I'm enjoying it less and less, not at like a rapid decrease, but like you're just going to gradually enjoy something less the more you do it generally. So
Yeah.
I'm just more about finding like that happiness, like
Yeah,
I
mean,
might
I'm an
stop
older
streaming
streamer.
2 years from now. Yeah,
I'm
mate,
33.
you got the
Are you gonna?
family,
I'm an
you got
old man for the thing. So yeah,
you find happiness in your kid now. Like you brought life into this world. Like that could be your main focus post poker, post streaming. I'm just all about like what's going to make me the happiest right now. I could be done in a year, 2 years, could be 10 years. I don't know.
Yes, that's it is interesting. That's a good question. I like that question a lot.
Well, what do you want from Twitch, Jeff? Like, do you want to be remembered in 5 years' time? Like, what do you exactly want from this game?
What do I want?
What do you want?
I honestly, I love people. I love poker. I just kind of love the whole thing. And for me, I will say the opposite of you in some respect, just more so because of listen, if I were your age or if I were single and, I found Twitch around, I guess, 2015. So maybe, yeah, about your age now. Timing, like I could wake up and do Twitch every day. I would do 6 days a week, 7 days a week. I have no problem doing it. Can't really, not the case right now in my life. But with that being said, I think it's sort of an advantage too, where I won't really burn out because like when I get on, I play a session, like I'm fired up. Like I love it. I enjoy poker. So it's like a treat for me to stream. During COVID, I have streamed more, but in general, I'd say I stream like twice a week, maybe. And I just enjoy it, and like, I love it. I don't really need to be, I don't want to say I'd be remembered. I just, I like it as like a journal too, having good scores.
The journal's
it's
sick
to
point.
go back and look at the video. That's also what I love most about YouTube. It's like Twitch streams are long. I'm not going to really go back and watch it, but like a YouTube highlight where I'll look back now from 4 years ago, I'll be like, oh man, it was $1 million to first. There was 5,000 people and there was that, crazy hand and it was like fun. It's like the stuff blends together. It's so also like the YouTube vlogs. Like I enjoy those because of the trips and the talks or the things or the memories or the sweats or a friend winning a bracelet and I was there sweating and these type of things. Like to me, it's kind of a glorified, exciting journal. That's how I sort of look at it. Like
I like that. Documenting the memories is really cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool to show
that's really underrated having that as a streamer.
Yeah, I mean, these are now you start looking back on your YouTube or your stuff, 5 years ago or 4 years ago. It's cool to see the progression of it all. So that's really, I think the thing I like the most. I mean, even now I've gotten more into podcasts and I'm same thing. I know there's not really money in podcasts. Yeah, Joe Rogan just got $100 million deal. I mean, that's cool, but is that really? I'm not like thinking about, one day I would love to get my thing, but I just kind of enjoy talking to people. I like it. It's another avenue of something. And maybe, all of a sudden, like I look back, it's been about a year and I got 70 and there's a lot of interesting people in there. And podcasts are way different because you get to really kind of know someone. You get to hear how they talk about, because a lot of the, Twitch is cool and you also get to know someone well. But in general, in poker, a lot of the people that are personalities or that are not on Twitch, you don't really get to know them, like they talk, they do a 5-minute interview for Poker News or they just kind of like you hear about them, they tweet, but you don't really get to hear someone and understand where they came from or their poker path. So that to me is, again, I'm not just doing poker, but it's exciting. It's nice to know. Did the parents support them? Do they have family? Did they start hot? Did they start tournaments, cash games? Are they new to poker, old to poker? How do they study? Like all these things, it's also getting fired up too on a tangent here, but it's sort of like I actually, some of the questions I ask, I'll take in things too. Like I just didn't want B Paris, BBZ, talking to Matt Staples, you, Jamie, these different guys, like getting a little bit and hearing how they do it. How do they study? How do they go about their day? How do they organize? When do they start? How do they, like, how many tables they play? Like all these little things I sort of compartmentalize. I start thinking, that's interesting. Or maybe maybe I should try that. Like actually one of my biggest scores was right after I had a podcast with B Paris and he had a 180K score. He chopped or heads up and Matt and him were 3-way in the million. And, in my head, I was like, man, it's been like a month and I haven't really had a good score. And like, I just started thinking about it and just like little things. And then you start plugging it in or you start like, I don't know, there's little things that can motivate you. Kind of like doing commentary. Like when you're doing commentary, you're just forced, like getting whole card up, the best in the world, especially like party what they're doing the high roll. That's fun, and it's like that's actually like the best studying you can do.
Yeah, that's actually pretty underrated. I agree. That's a really good form of study. Just watching cards up from the best.
And like you said, you see, and then you're like, oh, I would like before they do it, you get to look and be like, I would bet this here, and it's a little sweet skewed because it's like, all right, you see the guy's hand, so it's like kind of what the right thing.
Well, that's you got to be honest with yourself as well. Like, what would you really do in that spot? Like, to be a good poker player, you have to be completely vulnerable and honest, and like open to being horrible. Like that's the number one thing I say. If you want to be good at poker, the first thing you have to realize is that you're terrible. And until you can until you can realize that, then you can move past it.
Yeah, and also just to say one more thing about with me, I'm in a weird spot too because of, it's fun because like I realize I'm a solid, like I play poker a long time. I play high stakes PLO cash games in particular. I played 100K buy-in tournaments, but I know like these guys like Nick Petrangelo, Fedor, Ali Izmirovic, like Alex Fox, and these guys, they're on a different level. I mean, they are solving stuff. I'm not doing what they're doing.
Yeah, that Ali and Somovich guy, he is fucking sick. He is very good.
And it's like
his growth has been wicked.
So it's like I'm honest, but it's also like I can make people get a lot better because of the level they're at. But then it's like also fun because I'm learning and improving and constantly being challenged too. So it's like I can get better and help people get better. So it's pretty unique. It's nice to be in that kind of that spot where you're just always improving or trying to help others. But all right, let's take a couple more and then let's go ahead and do the $55 giveaway. Craziest beat. Is there ever like a royal over quad? Do you have any crazy hands or memories or something that just blew your mind?
I've probably had a roll over quads, but like, I mean, those beats, I couldn't pick one out. I really couldn't pick one spot out where I've just lost a bunch of EV. So no, I couldn't name one.
Do you have a favorite moment in poker? Let's take away the 50K plus win. Do you have a moment or a day? Like maybe I think I saw a YouTube video or you won 4 tournaments in a day or final table like 8. Like do you have any like crazy sick stat on a day?
Probably my first I guess big win for 30K. In 2017 was the first year after I moved out. So my biggest win before that was $4,000, and then I won 30K. In some 215 on ACRs. That was pretty memorable because it was my first big win, and called up my mum as well. It's on YouTube and you can like hear her reaction. So that was a pretty fun, memorable day. But
how often are your family watching your streams? Like if you hit that 50K score, so like when you win that 50K, do they contact you? Do you let them know you hit?
No, like my sister-in-law or my brother might see it on Instagram and tell my parents, and then my parents will call me. But like I never tell them how a session went. And sometimes like my dad would be like, oh, how much money did you win today or yesterday? And I'll be like straight up honest with him, like, yeah, lost $10,000 today. And he would just have a heart attack, So like, but I'm completely honest with them. Like I don't mind. But sometimes like they don't want to know.
How much hours are you streaming monthly right now?
I've streamed 1,000 hours this year. So how many months have we had? Are we in the 6 months this year or what?
We're through basically 6 months.
Yeah, so like 150. Wait, that can't be right. How many days am I doing? We're doing 6, 12, 24, 6 by 8. Sorry, 24 by 8, yeah. Around 200 hours a month, yeah. But between 180 and 220 usually is where I hit.
Wow. It's pretty serious. All right, we're gonna copy this. First of all, where can people follow you? I got your Instagram, your Twitter, you got the YouTube channel and Twitch. Is there anything else we're missing or any other way that?
No, everything is ALLinPav, even on Facebook. So ALLinPav on every platform.
You just across the board. You got ALLinPav locked up, guys. We are giving away a $55 ticket courtesy of Party Poker and Mr. Pav. We are gonna roll that here in a second on his command. Number 70 podcast in the book. Give me someone you think would be a good person to do for a podcast, Pav. I mean, obviously you got your strong crew. Henry would be, I feel like, very interesting to talk to. I feel like he's a very hard worker and unique and just really crushing.
All 3 of them are good. I know Travis loves the conversation. Patrick always has good points, and Henry's good as well.
Yeah, I'd like
all 3 are good. Have you done one with Joey Ingram. I don't know if Joey's ever been interviewed.
Yeah, I did. He was actually my second podcast.
Okay, well there you go. Run.
Yeah, he was good. There's a few people that do podcasts too. I think it is interesting I've actually just done a few recently because I like it's fun to talk to someone that is they're not really used to, like Joey. I was asking him. I don't think he had ever really been on. Maybe he had somewhere, I can't remember now, but trying to think who else to do. But yeah, that's what have you thought about? What about podcasting for you? Would that interest you, or just
I got like an overlay made to do some on Twitch, but it's just it's tough finding the time for it and finding the right people at the right time. Like it's just like time syncing up for it to happen is the main thing that's challenging with podcasts. But yeah, I have thought about it, and it is interesting. I want to do some form of commentary as well in the future. So
actually, Ben CB was my first one. That was when he was never revealed. He was still like a ghost. So I did like
so you just had no cam.
Yeah, he was the no cam one. But then I did his again later.
Have you done Pads?
Patrick Leonard coming up.
Yeah, he's really good to listen to.
He's a smart cookie for sure.
He's got a great mind.
Luke Schwartz was that. I mean, he was fun. There's been some fun ones, man. It's fun. It's just fun to talk and people, the stories and the stuff people come up with, man. There's some wild stuff. Poker is like one of those things that's just so ridiculously fun. Actually, my favorite story, which I didn't know, and is a good friend of mine, he was on recently, and I gotta tell you this one is pretty special. This guy Barry Baker, you wouldn't have heard of him. He's not poker. But he does play poker, but he's not a poker player. So Phil Ivey was in Utah, and did you hear that? Did you actually hit a soundbite by any chance where he got?
No, I didn't.
He was there for a home game. He was there for a golf thing. They play a pretty decent. I mean, it's not crazy, but good sized game. He went to go get money because he doesn't know the guys, so he wanted to come with cash, right? So he went to the bank in Utah, Park City, Utah. And Phil Ivey walks up to the teller and goes, "Can I get $100K in cash?" And the teller drops the floor and hit the alarm because he was African American.
Oh no shit!
And they thought he was robbing the bank. That shit is just epic stories. Like you can't believe it. But someone knew him. Like they hit the alarm and one of the people back there, like someone was like, "Wait, that's Phil Ivey."
Dude,
and then they laughed about
should be some
later,
footage of that. I want to see that video.
Yeah, it's here. I can send you the stamp on the clip. It's actually on my Instagram. I put it up as like a main one just because I like just for that clip. It was pretty funny. Shit like that. I love stories like that. But all right, we're gonna draw this. We're gonna let you anything closing statements you want, any declarations, any messages, positivity to drop on the world about what's going on. I think you covered a lot today.
Positivity. I got nothing off the top of my head, mate. Yeah, poker isn't everything you make it out to be. Be realistic and be ready for a long grind. I'll leave with that.
I love it. You're dialed in, man. I love where you're at. I got to give you're up for streamer of the year for the GPIs last year, which is pretty cool, right? It was
it doesn't matter when I get nominated. It's going to be Lex every year anyway, right? They just pick him. He's got the most viewers. How else do you pick the winner? You pick the guy with the most viewers, right? The biggest platform. It's not about how else would you do it, Jeff?
I don't know.
How would you do it? Come on.
It's possible. Shit can happen.
How would you be fair about it?
I got a big project I'm working on, Pav. You're gonna like it. I'm gonna talk to you about it after the stream. I don't want to spoil. I also am a big believer about delivering. I don't like talking about ideas and things because I think that's dangerous. A lot of the time, I like to.
I agree. I've done that in the past. Puts me in the spot, and then you don't follow through. It makes it worse. You're just getting right. People are out there for a bunch of reasons. It does make sense, but you'll be involved if you choose to be, which I think you will. And we'll chat off screen. We're going to do this right now. So you tell me when. Someone's going to $55 ticket. Again, you can get your tweets in real quick and ask a question. Maybe Pav will go through and answer some, although we did cover a bunch of these already. So we're going to give this $55 ticket and tell us when, and they're going to win it. You just tell me when it's done. All right, let's go now. Boom, right then. He just RNG'd it. Could be a repeat winner, could be a new winner. Raiders fan does get it. Yes. I don't think he's already got something before. Again, double winner, man. I just wonder if people have an algorithm or something, or if it's just they're that lucky.
I just don't know. I don't know. I'm not sold on my tweet giveaways because there's so many 2 and 3 Peters. I wonder if they're in the matrix system, hacked it in. I don't know. But either way, good for you. They got it. Pav delivered it. Congrats to him. Congrats to everyone for being here because it's fun. We're learning, we're growing, we're flowing, we're showing. And Pav, we'll see you soon. And stick around if you got a few because I'd love to run a few things by you. All right.
I will.
All right. Cheers, everyone. We'll be back for Mr. Mike Sexton on Wednesday and David Hay, the Haymaker from the UK. That is, we got an action-packed week on podcast, and I'll be in the 5,200 phase tomorrow from a 1 or 5:30 buy-in. Pav, you're sleeping on this tournament. I'm telling you, this is the one to get in the 5:30 into the 5K. It's where dreams are made. We'll see you on Party Poker. We'll see you in the PLO series. And Pav, good luck in the million. I know you're on day 2 at the 10 milli stack, so feeling dangerous. I feel like you might have your six-figure score coming this week. I don't want to jinx you, but I think it's coming. So, all right, guys, that's all in Pav out of Australia via New Zealand. He is there. He is streaming. Check out his channels. You'll enjoy it, and we'll see him soon. Team Party Poker member. I could keep going on and on. I don't want to butter him up too much. He might blush. We'll see him very soon.
Thank you, Matt.
Cheers.